I'm Joyce Hornady. You might say accuracy is my business. I make bullets.
You are listening to the Hornady Podcast.
Thanks for joining us and enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Hornady Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Seth Swerzik, and today I've got popular guest on the show, the Assistant Director of Engineering, a guy that loves to hunt, loves to get his family out hunting, Joe Thielen. Joe, thanks for coming on the podcast.
I'm glad to be here, Seth. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And it's a great time of year, especially for the topic at hand. And I mentioned in your intro, love to get out there in the field. Grew up hunting, obviously a Wyoming native, plenty of hunting opportunity there. Now you got a house full of kids and a wife that loves to get out there as well. They need guns, and we're going to talk about one today. But before we do, there's some really great stuff going on. Number one, it's hunting season. Everybody knows. I can see your neck's getting swollen from here. Yeah, it's that time of year.
Well, do you wake up in the morning early and it's cold and crisp? And we got rain last night, so just you can feel it. It's fall.
It's fall. Love it. Number two, we just launched new products for 2025. We announced those just last week, so there's still plenty of buzz about our brand new products for 2025, and we announced them at the first wholesalers trade show of the, I'm going to air quote, year, right? So we announced them at NASGW show. There's a couple, 2-3 months now between here and 2025 where we can really start spooling things up, getting products, getting ready to get out on the market. And I bring that up to say, yeah, the new products are cool, but what a sigh of relief for the Assistant Director of Engineering as kind of the leader, if you will, of our new products division in our ballistic development group, getting the new products across the finish line at NASGW show. Now you can take a step back and focus on what's important, which is hunting season.
Yeah, you get a little bit of breathing room, right? It's great. It feels really good. And but we have a great team, right? I mean, all of the marketing guys that help put it all together and all the literature and the videos and all that stuff. So I don't have to do a lot of it. We just do the technical heavy lifting. But yeah, it feels great. And yes, I love to hunt. Grew up hunting. So yeah.
So this one's kind of cool. And I'll be honest with you, this rifle build, and amongst the series of Hornady rifle builds, you've really seen the hunting rifles, and you saw one PRS rig. Now, based on the analytics, people like to see these hunting builds. So we went back with a hunting rifle. And so this one is almost counter-cultural, if you will. And what I mean by that is the culture right now today, if you're going to build a precision hunting rifle, the easy button is, one of the PRCs or something like that. This one's what I call it countercultural because what's this one chambered in?
280 Ackley.
The 280 Ackley. Such a romanticized cartridge. So cool. It's got a special place in my heart, obviously in yours. And talk to us a little bit about what the purpose of this build was. So I want to hear what this build was for, who it was for, what its design purpose was. And then I'm going to walk you through systematically why you chose each individual component. So broad level, 280 Ackley, what was this built for? Who was it built for? And what do you do with it?
So yeah, I'd like to, if you don't mind.
When you built it.
And so I'd love to take a step back because as an engineer, I'm a very technical guy, right? Mm-hmm. So I learned early on as Christina started shooting.
Your wife?
That's my wife, yep. And then when we had the girls get old enough to start shooting and they all love to shoot, I learned early on, because I've built all the guns, right, that we shoot. And the reason people will ask me a lot when you're out in the field, why do you do that? And the reason is quite simple. I wanted, as Christina started shooting and the girls started shooting, I wanted to build a platform or a system that they could manage and shoot effectively, right? That was still lethal and effective in the field for the job we were doing.
But it had to be comfortable for them.
It had, exactly. So, and because you want to develop good habits, right? Starting out with suppressors and all those things so that the guns, they don't develop flinch or all the things. They can watch where their shots hit the target. But the main thing is I wanted those, I wanted the girls, when they shot the system, no matter what it was, that the system was phenomenally accurate, number one. As a coach or someone helping them, a teacher, I can't help them if they break the trigger and the shot goes wide, left, high, low, whatever, and your gun just shoots big and you can't help them. Like the bullet went there for a reason. And I needed them to know that early on. So all the guns that we built are super, super accurate. So they understand, oh, the wind is blowing, my bullet went to the right. Or, man, Dad, I kind of, jerked the trigger on that one and it went low or high or whatever.
Yeah.
And they start making those mental connections, if you will, to good fundamentals and marksmanship. So that way when they get out in the field and the stressors are there that we all know happen, they can be effective when we're hunting. Yeah. So that's the reason that
that you build your rifles.
Build custom, and put good optics on them and everything. So
that's a cool point, Joe, because if you build a rifle, this one, all of them that you've built, the bullet goes where the crosshairs are pointed, the end. They throw darts. I've shot some of your rifles. I've been around a lot of your rifles that you've built. They shoot incredibly accurate, and they're all slightly different. You all build them for a different purpose, and I think that's really cool. Number one, that's a great concept, especially introducing new shooters, because, I can't help you fix where that bullet went if I don't know that the bullet goes where the crosshairs are pointed every single time.
Exactly.
And the other cool part, you mentioned you being an engineer, obviously very technical and very mechanical. When we say you built custom rifles, that's because you ordered the barrel, chucked it up in the lathe, and you hand chambered these things yourself. So these are done, and I know you did that in your bench rest career, and you talked about Christina, your wife, getting involved in the shooting and the hunting. Let's not just gloss over that she was also an accomplished bench rest competitor.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, she did well.
She did well, and the girls shoot very, very well. I mean, they're very good marksmen. My little one is 10, Carly, and she's probably the most gifted. She's
really?
A phenomenal.
Natural.
Her eye-hand coordination, target acquisition, and then the way those girls, every single one of them, their dexterity with their trigger finger from here to here is so good. I'm impressed every time we go out and shoot.
That's great stuff.
But this system was built for, Christina got into hunting. I mean, I took her hunting, but then she wanted to go out west and hunting, and especially hunting elk and drawing cow tags and stuff. She enjoyed that.
Yep.
Well, the areas where I like to hunt them out there is very wide open desert country.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it, broken pinyon pine, whatever, but huge country. I mean, 5 miles is nothing. So when we started hunting out there, because she started on a Creedmoor, 6.5 Creedmoor, shoots it great. But with an elk, knowing that you may have a 300 to 400, 500 yard shot that you need to take because the terrain dictates that, I wanted to have more bullet, more energy on target, less wind drift, but yet in a gun that she could shoot very effectively.
Okay.
So that was the reason behind building this particular gun. It needed to fill that role or that,
you needed to step up from a 6.5 Creedmoor ballistically. And what year are you building this gun? Because at the time, obviously you had and still have a phenomenally accurate 7 mag that you've built. Absolutely. That you took to Africa to shoot 175 ELDXs.
Yep.
So you had a Magnum option. What year were you building this, and what led you to the 280 Ackley?
Yeah, the 7 mag was like in 2011 or 12, in that time frame. This I think we built in like 15. 14 it was a couple years after, because she shot that gun, right?
Yeah, just a little much.
And it works. But yeah, it was just, I wanted to tame it down just a little bit because I wanted to build the system a little bit. I wanted to build the system as light as I could, but yet be effective on marksmanship.
Yep.
So that's where this system came in. So let's just say 15-ish.
Okay. So you chose the 280 Ackley, and what led you to the 280 Ackley instead of, say, the 7 mag and just a custom hand load?
The 280, so 473 bolt face, the powders you can run and push heavy bullets and recoil and muzzle blast, right?
Okay.
That was the whole purpose of 280. Less powder. Yeah, it's maybe not quite as fast, but you're launching 175s. Who cares? I mean, get that bullet going and it will keep going.
Yep. So the 280 Remington, as we know it, or the 7mm Remington Express, came out in 1957. P.O. Ackley, among others, instantly wildcatting that thing, and you have the Ackley version of the 280, basically probably predating the 280 Ackley, because I'm guessing the 30-06, as soon as that came out, there were people necking it down, and then Ackley blowing shoulders out. And of all the Ackley improved cartridges, this one, somewhat arguably, but in my opinion, certainly without question, the most popular of all of his improved cartridges, but the one that really benefits the most. I feel like there's a big stable of 7mm bullets that when you put just, 3, 4, 5% more capacity behind it, really starts to shine. So I feel like that was a great cartridge. Again, we all love the 280 Ackley. It's really cool. Fast forward a little bit, Nosler introduced it to Sammy, standardized it in 2008 with a 9 twist. and your standard 3.340 overall length. Actually, I believe this one's 3.330.
3.3, yeah.
Yeah,
but
so
it's close
10 thou
enough,
shorter. So it's really set up factory to shoot 160 grain bullets or less, which we'll talk more about that in a minute. All right, let's start walking through exactly what you did. Well, real quick, you said 175s. You built this gun to shoot 175s.
Yeah, because I had shot the 175 ELDXs in the 7 mag, and they're so, I mean, you shot them, Seth. They are those bullets are very effective. I mean, they're awesome, right? So I knew that I wanted to shoot those, especially if you're hunting elk in open country.
Yeah, bigger bullet, a little bit more air budget.
Can I shoot 162s in here? 100%. I've done it.
Yep.
Works fine. But I
lower the recoil down.
But I wanted to have capability to shoot that 175.
Hornady Outfitter ammunition is now loaded with Hornady CX bullets. Its optimized monolithic design combined with a heat shield tip offers extended range performance, enhanced accuracy, high weight retention, and deep penetration. Outfitter ammunition features corrosion-resistant nickel-plated cases that are sealed watertight, designed to perform under the toughest conditions. No matter where adventure takes you, trust your hunt to Outfitter ammunition from Hornady.
Okay, so the heart of every rifle starts with the action. And you've got a handsome rifle here. What'd you choose for the action and what led you to that action?
That's a Stiller Predator long action, standard 473 bolt. Yep. I've had those actions in some other cartridges, and I knew Jerry Stiller way back in the day. I've talked to him. He was a friend of mine. So I had a few of these actions around, and I like them. They're reliable. They work. They're accurate, smooth, reliable. They function whether they get dirty or gritty. They work really, really good.
Yep.
So
a nice action. I will say, take this time for a plug here. You mentioned Jerry Stiller, and that company's changed hands a couple times now. Where they're at today, if you need a custom action, don't hesitate to buy a Stiller. We know the owners now.
Absolutely.
The investment they've made in machining, the new machines that make these actions. They've got a new one out called the Wombat for hunting, kind of skeletonized version. They're making better actions now, or as good of action than they ever have.
The new ones are probably even, because I've tuned these a little bit, but the new ones are super smooth.
Yeah.
They're doing a really good job.
Yep. So Stiller, still a very formidable force in the custom action line, and check out their new Wombat action. So Stiller Predator, long action. Now you got it mated to a barrel here. Walk us through the specs on what that barrel is, because in today's standards, it's a little long, but
it's long. It is. So back when I built that, suppressors weren't as popular as they are now. I mean, we just didn't know. We didn't know, right?
They weren't as short. They weren't as light.
Yep. So and I wanted, obviously recoil was a major factor. So I put a brake on this one.
Okay.
Now, in today's world, my barrels are shorter with cans on them. Absolutely. But this was just before that time. Bartline, it's a Bartline. It's like a number 4 3B, whatever, fluted. 1 1/8.5 twist right hand with a Vias muzzle brake on it.
Now that's a classic. I would say when you think precision hunting rifle from that era, this is what you think about. The not varmint contour, but not super lightweight, like the Bartlein number 4, maybe a 3B contour with the flutes and that Vias muzzle brake, really effective.
For recoil, I mean, I've shot this gun a lot. It does not kick very much at all on purpose, right?
Yep.
But yeah, that is the iconic Magnum long-range hunting rifle, if you will.
Exactly. So you went with a little bit faster twist than the Sammy spec because you wanted to shoot 175s. And what's the finished barrel length on this thing?
26.
26. So between the 280 with the Ackley improved case capacity plus that slightly longer barrel, you're really flirting with 7 mag performance out of a standard 24-inch 7 mag.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that's pretty darn cool. And you're doing it with slightly faster burning propellant, maybe a little bit definitely a little bit lower powder charge.
Absolutely.
That's really incredible. Perfect little setup there. Looks good. With the Vias that you matched to the barrel contour, looks seamless, looks great there. And trigger. Now this is another kind of sign of the times, if you will, but what are you running for a trigger on this?
This is a Jewel HVR.
The Jewel HVR. And again, kind of an iconic trigger choice from that time and still a very popular trigger today.
Yeah, call me old school, but I have quite a few of these Jewel HVRs, and I don't know why, but I love the feel of the way a Jewel trigger breaks. I shot them in my target rifles. I like them. And once you get I mean, you've known this. You have a bunch of stuff. Once you get a feel for something where you know and you know it intimately,
Yep.
you just
keep
it.
going
You
back to
gravitate to it. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a Jewel HVR, and it's not light
I
though.
was going to say, what's this one set at? Because I used to shoot a Jewel HVR in my competition rifle at 8 ounces, and I'm guessing this one's a little heavier than that.
In my PRS gun, my HVR is 8-10 ounces. This one is like 2 pounds.
Okay,
It's
so
1.5 pounds to 2 pounds, depending on
Mhm.
how you hold the gauge. But it's not a light trigger, and that's on purpose, obviously, for hunting.
yep, right on. All right, so you've got a trigger, you've got it set at what I think is really kind of the perfect sweet spot for trigger weight. Me personally, my father, a bunch of us in the shop, I don't want it much lighter than 2 pounds. I've hunted where it's like 65 degrees, and I could have shot from the prone with an 8-ounce trigger. I've taken shots where it's below 0, and I can't feel anything on my body. You take your glove off for 2 seconds and put your hand on your rifle, and it's like, I can't feel my finger anymore. So I love a 2-pound trigger. It's light enough that you can manipulate it very skillfully, but heavy enough that you're not going to get a discharge when you're not ready for it.
Absolutely.
So I see it's got a hinged floor plate. Now, popular today, we see a lot more removable magazines. And there's some trade-off there with, accidentally dropping a mag when you're out in the field, something along those lines. This hinged floor plate, very hard to mess that up. What'd you go with for a floor plate on this thing? Because with 175s, I'm guessing you're seating those babies out a little bit.
Yeah, we're longer than Sammy, so I needed the Wyatt's extended box hinged floor plate, and that's what's in this gun. And it feeds and works really, really good. And I like when you're carrying them and stuff. Yes, do we have a bunch of detachable magazine, gun stay? Absolutely. But this being nice and smooth down there, it is nice when you're out in the you're getting caught on stuff in your pack.
They're just grabbing it by your...
yeah.
So the Wyatts now on a regular Remington 700, you would have to do some machine work to get that to work. But with the Stiller, it comes inletted, ready to go for those Wyatts extended mags.
Yeah, I had to do a little bit of fitting, obviously, with any custom gun, but this thing here was the stock, the action, everything was ready to go for that box.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
So how far are you seating those 175s out? You remember your overall length?
I want to say I'm 3.480 or 3.5 inches.
Okay, perfect. So setting them out there, getting them, and then with a custom chamber reamer that you designed and ordered specifically. Yeah, this is not a standard Sammy reamer. This is custom from the concept. You designed the reamer print, had a reamer cut, and then built the rifle.
Yeah.
That's, man, if your wife and kids aren't set up for success with the best rifles, I don't know who is. That's pretty cool, Joe.
They get made fun of quite a bit. Like, why do you get all this nice stuff? And I even poke fun of them a little bit. Like, man, I wish I had this when I was growing up.
Hey,
you kids are spoiled.
Let's take a throwback, a little bit of a rabbit hole. You grew up M77 Ruger with a 7 mag. When the 280 Ackley was standard, it was Sammy approved in 2008, you could buy a Ruger M77 and 280 Ackley. That's pretty cool. They don't make them anymore, but they're still floating around out there in the used market. So you've got a barrel action, you got a 26-inch Bartline, custom twist, custom chamber, the Vias muzzle brake on a Stiller Predator, the Wyatt's extended box mag, so you could seat those bullets out where you want them, the Jewel HVR, the barrel action, again, just throws darts, bullet on top of bullet, and it's seated in a darn good-looking stock. And as far as aftermarket stocks go, I feel like, I don't know this because it predates me and my time in the industry, but I feel like HS almost created that aftermarket synthetic fiberglass stock world, because you could buy an HS stock for Remington 700, and that's like the first. You buy a Tupperware Remington 700 in 2010 or whatever, you just bought a HS and you just put it in there. It was a huge upgrade. This one here looks like the PSS 134 model. Tell us about that and the color scheme and why you went with that stock.
So I'm kind of a stickler on stocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
For a couple of reasons. My wife and kids have smaller hands, so they need. I've talked to Josh Clough about this multiple times. I like their stocks, especially here, because those kids and Christina can get a nice grip on it.
Yep.
Yes, they can get a nice grip on it without trying to work extra hard to figure out how they're going to hold on to this blocky, stock. So I'm very particular. And then, not to mention that been doing it for years, so they build great stuff. It's lightweight. They shoot well. They're comfortable.
Recoil.
They're durable out in the field. You can beat on them. Rub them against whatever branches.
I will say,
whatever.
I don't know what kind of paint they use, but you cannot chip, scratch, or almost anything an HS Precision Stock paint job. I don't know what it is, but it's incredible.
You can't hardly. I've wore paint off stocks, not an HS.
Yeah,
they're awesome. And anyway, Josh Clough is a great friend of mine. I've known him for years. You don't come any better than that guy. So we have a lot of HS stocks on a lot of rifles in the gun safes, and they perform. They flat out work.
Yep.
So
that's a great answer. They flat out work. This one, the 3-color woodland camo with the black webbing, and again, I keep saying it, but it just has that iconic Hunt the West custom rifle look to it. And then on the stock in the back there, I see you've got a cheek piece there.
Yep, absolutely. So this helps with the girls again with their
cheek weld.
It's comfortable, it's soft, and it builds this up just a little bit. It builds the comb up so they can get a really good sight picture without trying to float the head back there, which I think really helps. And then these things are just great, right? Throw up earplugs in here, put extra rounds in here. I mean, you name it. You use these a lot too. They're we have these on about every single gun that we hunt with because they're just a great thing to have.
They're just a nice addition. Yeah, they
Absolutely.
do well.
Find the latest shirts, hats, hoodies, and accessories that you see here on the podcast and much more at HornadyGear.com.
Then up front, you went kind of Jaden Quinlan-esque with the big bipod. What kind of bipod is that?
That's just the Harris 12 to 24. Seth, I've had that bipod since I lived in Wyoming, believe it or not. And I like it because it's most of the time you are going to have to shoot just because of brush or whatever. You're shooting sitting, kneeling, some combination there quite a bit. Can you shoot prone in certain? Yes, but it's tall for a prone shot. But I love how it extends out to 24 and you can sit down.
Yeah.
Then you get a pack right there in their lap.
Yeah.
Buttstock on the pack.
And for a field position, you can do a high prone on a 12-inch bipod. Absolutely. Especially with a backpack.
Put the backpack under here.
Yep. Vinyl harness, something like that. You can get really comfortable. And Jaden, for the same reason, likes to run these tall bipods where, the amount of prone shots versus the amount of high or low kneeling shots, man, you really kind of got to cater to those kneeling shots.
100%. Absolutely. Yep. So that's why I've been using that thing for years, and I keep using it. So.
And then you got the classic Hornady leather sling. This one looks like it's seen a few miles.
Those have seen, it's seen a lot of miles. Those are nice because they're so comfy, right? That's
neoprene.
For Chloe. I mean, Chloe shot her elk in Wyoming with this gun last year. So,
carried it a lot of miles. So a rifle can be handsome, it can be precision, it can be all those things, but you can't shoot it unless you know what you're shooting at. So on top, it looks like you've got a rail and then an optic on there. What are you running for the rail? 20-minute base, I'm guessing, and then tell us about that scope and the choice that led you to that specific model.
Yep, 20-minute aluminum one-piece base, Night Force ultralight rings with the 4 to 16 attacker on it with a Mil C, which is interesting.
F1, first focal plane.
Oh yeah, so another thing that I did, and thank goodness I did it early on. The guys, I was an MOA guy. I came to Hornady.
Pinterest guy.
MOA guy.
Yeah.
And the guys here, Quinlan, some of the other ones, said you really need to go into mills, competitive shooting. So I started doing that. Well, once you go F1 mills, and I did that for that shooting, I changed out all the scopes on all the hunting rifles. They're all that same scope, same reticle, same dial, same everything. And I did that for consistency, right? So no matter what gun the girls pick up and we're shooting, they all look the same. And I really...
Continuity.
But I love those little scopes. They're lightweight, compact, but the glass and optics and low light, and then obviously they're, built like a tank. You can beat them around, bang them around, and they hold zero.
Yep. And 4 to 16, that's a plenty of zoom ratio for any hunting that you're going to be doing, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, hunting, 400 or 500 yards is a long shot hunting.
Right.
In my opinion. That's a long shot. 4 to 16 power is plenty. I'm trying to think of how many animals we've actually shot with the scope cranked up. It's slim to none.
I was going to say, in my hunting career, I've shot none because I can't follow it up.
Absolutely.
I can see real close on the one shot, but I can't see the other ones.
Yeah, and target acquisition, and this glass is so good. I mean, 4 or 5 power on these scopes. It's so crisp and clear. You can put the crosshair and the bullet right where you need it to go.
Well, what I really love about that optic, just aesthetically, is the low profile elevation turret, and then it's got the small 44 millimeter objective. So it's nice, it's low, it's compact. They're sub 28 ounces, I believe. So that's a pretty lightweight scope for all those features.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, 4 to 16. What 4 to 16 by 42.
Or 42, yeah.
Yep, 42, and they weigh like, I want to say 27 or 28 ounces is all they weigh.
Yep. Well, that's a neat story and a neat perspective from you that you were MOA guy, because I feel like a lot of us growing up that didn't grow up competitively, just grew up shooting stuff.
Sure.
Okay, yeah. Well, I learned how to read a ruler in school, and I'm shooting stuff at home, and I kind of equate that, and that's kind of a rough minute of angle. And then you kind of learn the MOA system. Then you went hyper competitive in the bench rest world and ate the MOA clicks kind of stuff. And then when you were transitioning into precision rifle, you were just speaking a different language. And I remember Jaden saying, it's important to be ballistically bilingual, but when you come on and off the firing line and people are talking wind holds or whatever, they're going to be talking in mil, and you want to be speaking the same language. And it was cool that you picked up on that, obviously made the change, and that as you trained your wife and your children how to shoot and how to shoot precision, you were able to all speak the same language, and it's an easy language to learn.
Absolutely.
I think, learning the MIL system, incredibly simple.
Absolutely.
And then the fact that it's all the same, you set them up for success by you're going to see the same reticle, you're going to see the same first focal plane, you're going to see the same turret on any rifle you get on in the Thielen safe there, which is really cool. I've made a mistake one time on my first hunting rifle that I built, running a second focal plane MIL scope, pinching pennies. You know what? It's hunting.
We've
on
all
the second focal
done
plane.
it.
I was getting ready for a hunt. It's like 2 weeks before the hunt. Went out onto me and Jaden went out onto some public land before they shut it down for target shooting. Set up our steel early in the morning. And I was going to shoot 400, then 800, and just verify everything was good to go. Went out to 800, gave it my wind hold, airmailed it. I'm shooting a hot rod 7 mag with 175s in a 4 mile an hour wind situation. Yeah, I'm not airmailing stuff for wind. Oh yeah, second focal plane. So before I went on that trip 2 weeks later, swapped that scope out because I made a mental error just based on I fell back to what my standard was, which was first focal plane MIL reticle. And I made the wrong wind hold because it wasn't on the certain, power setting. And so by creating consistency, you're not going to make those mistakes. You can tell somebody a wind hold and it's the same every single time.
Absolutely.
And yeah, again, you really set your girls up for success there. So Joe, that's the whole rifle in a nutshell. Do you know the approximate weight on this setup? Because looking at it, it doesn't look like a particularly light rifle, but I don't think you built it for that.
I did not. That rifle comes in with everything on it right under 12 pounds, like 11.6 or something like that.
Okay.
So it's not heavy. I have other guns that are heavier, and it's not super light.
You've got guns that are lighter.
Yeah, and I've got guns that are lighter for those jobs. But no, this was built for, do we carry this gun? Absolutely. But it was not built for the ultra lightweight. This was built for accuracy and longer distance.
Yep.
Shooting in open environments.
And recoil. Yep. I think shooting a 175 at 29 and some change that you're getting out of this thing?
I only got these around about 2850.
Okay, so 175 at 2850.
I ran them at 2900 out of here, and it shoots okay.
Yeah.
But I'd rather
tame them off.
Yeah, I just back them off a little bit. It's just
easier
to shoot.
It's 175 at 2850 from an 8-pound gun versus an 11.5-pound gun. That's two different recoil impulses.
100%.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So didn't build it for the ultra and the lightweight. You built it sensibly. This is one of the most clear, and it might not come through in the podcast, but I hope the listener understands that none of this was by accident. Like every individual screw you chose for a very specific reason.
Yes.
And this is very well thought out and a very, very nice rifle. It shoots well.
Hornady Security Mobilus Safes. Discover the ultimate solution for safeguarding your valuable equipment with Hornady Security Mobilus Safes. Offering an innovative modular design, Mobilus Safes can be easily transported and assembled piece by piece in any room. Featuring a full square lock interior organizing system that maximizes storage space with countless storage configurations. Elevate your security with Mobilus Safes from Hornady Security.
Now, before we close this thing out, talk us through some notable hunts with this beautiful machine here, because there's been some cool animals laid down with your family.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have not personally shot anything with this gun, but the girls have.
That's the most important thing. You get more enjoyment out of that than hunting yourself.
I do, Seth. I love hunting with my wife and my kids. It's so much fun. The first one, animals that Christina shot some cow elk in Wyoming with this gun.
Filled the freezer.
Multiple, cow elk hunts.
Feeding the family.
Yep. But then she drew her once in a lifetime Nebraska bull tag.
Ooh.
And shot a really nice.
That's a high pressure hunt because that's a once in a lifetime.
Once you fill that tag, it's done for your lifetime. So she shot a really nice bull on like late in the season at 525 yards. And I mean, 10 ringed him twice right through the heart lung area.
Yeah.
So that's
why you built this rifle, Joe.
How
cool was that?
It was absolutely cool.
She draws a once in a lifetime tag before you do. And then
thanks for reminding me.
And then that hunt is pretty rigorous because the area, this specific unit in western Nebraska, beautiful part of the state. I wish Hornady could pick up and move there. It's the worst place in the whole world, and no one should ever go.
Absolutely.
I will leave it like that.
Absolutely.
But it's 5-6 hour drive from here.
Correct.
So you go out there for a hunt for a week, come up empty-handed, drive home, and then you're back the next
again.
weekend.
Yep.
And then next weekend.
And we did that for a little over a month.
Ooh.
We were hunting out there, multiple, stints like that. You come home, go to school with kids, and you go out for a long weekend or a week or whatever you can spare. Yeah,
that's 12 hours on the road per trip.
We did that.
So a lot of windshield time there, and you have a once in a lifetime tag in your pocket, and you finally find the bull, and you're not getting closer than that range, and you have the perfect tool for the job.
We were out of light. The sun had just set, so we have 20 minutes, and it's across 2 canyons, and they're on a hill feeding on a side hill. There's nothing between you and them. You're not getting there. It's all a big open bowl. So laid down, called the wind, and I mean, doot doot.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah, he dumped over right there. So that was fun.
That's great.
Chloe, Chloe drew her first Wyoming bull tag last year and used this gun on a late season bull hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot of fun. She laid on this gun and froze. I mean, I kept her in the sun, but froze. This bull was in some timber at like 300 yards away. And I wanted a good clear shot, right?
Sure.
So finally, when he moved out, gave her a nice window between some trees, and she gave him one behind the shoulder, and he tipped over.
That's super cool. And more hunts to come, obviously.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is a fan favorite in the house. Like if we go out practicing and shoot long range, like just taking your hunting guns out and shooting them, this is a fan favorite, is this gun here.
Easily. It's an easy choice. It really is. It shoots, bullet on top of bullet. It's heavy enough with the muzzle brake and a mild velocity that it's super easy to shoot, and it hits like a hammer when it gets there.
Yeah, those 175s are something else.
Yeah,
as you know.
Yeah, I'm big fan from a different cartridge, but big fan. I still have a burning desire to build one of these, although I have no use for it. I still want to build a really nice 280 Ackley.
Well, you are welcome to go shoot it whenever you want.
Yeah, right.
I got ammo for it.
Awesome, Joe. Is there anything else you want to leave our listener with, maybe about this specific rifle, or encouragement to build their own custom rifles, or the 280 Ackley in general?
I would just say, like, once you build, and you could probably relate to this, once you delve into and build or have rifles built the way you want them built, there's something special about those rifles. You know what you're going to get from an accuracy performance standpoint before you even write the first check or enter the first credit card number. You know what you're going to get when you get done. And that's what I like.
Mm-hmm.
So I would encourage anybody that buy the best you can afford. Optics, barrels, rifles, all of those things, especially if you're taking your kids or your family hunting and they're going to be using that tool. That has paid me a lot of dividends, is give them the best that you can, and it will help them get better faster.
Yep. I think dividends is the appropriate word for that too, because you've got your initial investment, which is big, and obviously,
Absolutely.
That's a lot of time and money invested initially, but the dividends that it pays past that initial investment is many, many times over, with the success, the ability to coach on the gun, the ability for them to see their shots, all of those things that go into being in a successful environment, whether that be target shooting or hunting.
Or hunting, absolutely. I hope, Seth, that my grandkids or my daughters keep this someday and they take their kids hunting. You know what I mean? Because
Yep.
you're going to have that. That thing's not going to wear out. We need to put a new barrel on it, okay, but
Yeah.
it's going to take a long time to wear that barrel out. But yeah, we'll have that gun for years and years and years.
Awesome. Well, I hope to see it maybe a little bit more marred up. By the time you have grandkids, a little bit more memories carved into it. I guarantee the HS paint will still be looking fresh. But with that, Joe, thanks for walking us through what I'm going to really call the ultimate 280 Ackley build.
Yeah, definitely iconic, that's for sure.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Seth.
Guys, thank you for tuning in to this episode about Joe Thielen's ultimate 280 Ackley build. If you guys are liking these rifle build videos, you need to let us know. We'll keep them coming. We enjoy doing these podcasts. Let us know who you want to see next. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.